west out to Durham, Bodenham, out that way.
And for people listening to this show that live in other parts of Maine, excuse me, what other cities, towns in Maine do you know that have a similar program like this?
There's a very strong program in Portland. It's called HEP, Our Exchange Portland. And up just a little bit north in the general Augusta area is the Mid-Maine Time Bank. And both of those are, also have websites and people can contact them. And there are others in the region as well.
Yeah. How many around the nation, Edgar, are there time bank organizations? Do you know?
We know of, because they've registered in, with us, 180 in 40 states, but we're also finding out that it's popping up all over. In colleges are setting it up. We just went to a school that specializes in training probation officers in Pennsylvania, only to find out that they had their own time bank. So we're finding that the basic notion is human beings can help other human beings. We don't. there's no way you would want to try and own or put confines on that. So it's really, it spreads. It's as much a movement as it is an organization, I would say.
In the local paper yesterday, there was a article about you appearing in the community, and it has a little quote from you in here saying how the principles of the service exchange system are particularly relevant in today's economy, that you would be speaking about that, and how by examining our assumptions about work and wealth, we can make new choices that will better support us and our communities. I was curious about asking you if you could explore a little bit more what you're talking about here when you say the assumptions about work and wealth. What does that mean?
Well, one of the things that I became aware of was that money defines value by price. Price defines value by scarcity. So if a thing is abundant, it's cheaper. If it's truly abundant, it's either dirt cheap or worthless. And I suddenly realized that meant that every capacity that defines you and me as a human being is worthless. Our willingness to care for each other, to mentor each other, to hug each other, to stand up for what's right, to oppose what's wrong. The basic capacities that enabled our species to survive, we've devalued by money. So money only values what's scarce, and it only values those people who can do those scarce things. We think every human being has value, and we think that that to be a human being is to have capacities that we desperately need as a species to survive and to deal with problems ranging from the fact that all of us get older, to the fact that we've got global warming, to the fact that we've got issues of race and class that we need to address. So I would say in terms of redefining work, the market doesn't value caring labor, it doesn't value mentoring and teaching labor. It doesn't value civic labor and civic engagement. It doesn't value social justice labor. The sit-ins were not, nobody was being paid minimum wage. It doesn't value the struggle for social justice. It doesn't value the work it's going to take to recycle and preserve the planet. So there are a few minor kinds of areas of activity that the market doesn't value and call work, but that I call it. So when I say we're redefining work and redefining value, those are the kinds of concerns I have.
Many people say that the war on poverty that you were deeply involved in your early years was a failure, and that you really can't address social justice through government intervention. In fact, right now, I'm sure you've been following the controversies with Glenn Beck on Fox News. Is saying that social justice equates to communism and Marxism. How do you feel about this question about the government's role in dealing with social disparity?
Well, this is our government. We're a democracy. A government is just people. It's my government, and as far as I'm concerned, the government is my servant. If my servant misbehaves, then I got to step in. And people actually have earned time dollars in social protest. They've earned time dollars in picketing in front of enterprises that don't honor minimum wage requirements. But I think we've seen what happens when government turns its back and doesn't do its job. We've seen what the banking industry does, and we're all living with that. So the notion that government is government is our entity. That's to say, we cannot act collectively to fulfill our mission as a people? That's, to my mind, defying everything that this country was built on. We wouldn't have a government if people didn't rise up and say, we need a government and we need to stand up against England. We need to stand up against tyranny. To the best of my knowledge, this government fought World War II. It fought for some rather important, and it's now struggling to do all kinds of remarkable things around the world. So to demonize government is to prey on people's fear, and it's to appeal to their fears and to make them as scared as possible. I don't act
To what end?
I think it's entirely a struggle around political power. Every time, frankly, the right wing, from my point of view, has gotten power, they've made government bigger, and they've used governmental power to make the rich richer and the poor poorer. And I don't think that's the best use of government. But they have a track record of building a bigger government and using government to extract money from those who have least. That's.
Donna, would you like to comment on this at all?
Well,
Not that I have any opinions, really.
No. And please keep your opinions to yourself, will you?
The basis of all this is really personal responsibility, and I think that when we take responsibility for providing ourselves with what we need, whether it is engaging governmental issues or stepping around them and making things happen on our own, that's a lot of what we're doing here. Because by redefining wealth, we're coming not from the monetary model that Edgar was speaking of earlier, which is so limiting and divisive, but is a model of abundance. One of Edgar's much quoted phrases is, we have what we need when we use what we have. And this area that we live in is so amazing. We have such a wealth of innovation and creativity and courage, and so many people who are out there making things happen, who are really taking personal responsibility for making the world a better place. And that is what we're doing in Merrymeeting Community Shares.
Can you give a few more examples of how this whole Community Shares works in motion? Talk about some of the trade-offs that are made.
Well, we have such a range of skills. Again, as I said, this is a marvelous area. So we have artists and musicians who are available. As a matter of fact, just a little aside on that, one of our board members had her entire wedding paid for in time dollars, if you will, because, you know, there are people who'll bake the cake and make the dress and play the music and arrange the flowers and cater the food. We have all of those skills available. And so people accomplish the entire process of moving by using the shares that are available through the community.
So what if you wanted something done like a wedding, but you didn't have enough shares in the bank?
Aha.
How does that work?
Well, you can go into debt because, as Edgar pointed out earlier, this is a moral contract that we're making with one another. And so if I need something and I don't have enough time banked, I can, you know, just get my needs met, and then I'll set about, because I'm a responsible person, to make sure that I help out some other people and fill in that.
Is there any interest that comes along with it?
No interest.
No interest.
No.
So
but
no,
it's very
no interest
interesting because it's a great way to meet new people and make new friends.
Yeah.
So we have people who, as I said, will, you know, do moving, all sorts of artistic things. We have people who help with computers, set up websites, do trouble